Yesterday, police responded to the sound of gunshots in the vicinity of the spinning wheel on Court Street, where it appears that two males on a motorcycle discharged what we believe to be two firearms and a number of bullets, not just in that location, but in a nearby location as well, and potentially up to 18 bullets were discharged. And as a result, two men were hit. Both those men were taken to hospital in private car. And tragically, overnight, just after midnight, Clark Fox succumbed to his injuries and passed away. So we have gone from obviously an instance of a shooting, and you'll all recall several weeks ago we had 5 in quick succession, and the BPS responded strongly and engaged with the community with extremely positive feedback, and parties that we believe were involved arrested, and obviously investigation continues. But we've had another shooting, and the tragedy for that family can't be put into words. And the tragedy for Bermuda is after 2019, where we saw no homicides this year in the first quarter, we've now suffered our first. Inquiries are taking place extremely rapidly, and we've already made 2 arrests from a location in Pembroke. We've also recovered what we believe to be significant evidence relating to this incident, including the motorcycle that we believe was used at the time, and that obviously will give us significant forensic opportunities. However, what we know about such cases is that it's not just the individuals who pull the trigger who are involved in these matters. There's a wider group of people that plan such attacks, and indeed our inquiries in the previous instance are looking at conspiracies, and I indeed believe this is a conspiracy. And arguments between groups and then resulting decisions to actually use firearms. The things that stands out for me mostly, and it struck me when we had the shooting a few weeks ago, and you'll recall where it was indiscriminately shot into a doorway, and we believe it wasn't the correct target, and we had a family inside there. But this took place at 2:45 in broad daylight in Court Street, where residents were walking along, where businesses were open. And indeed, we had a female police officer who was doing her duty, visible to the community and reassuring them, and she stood just 10 feet away from the individuals who pulled the trigger. That for me shows a complete disregard to law and order, a complete disregard to the public safety, and a complete disregard of anything that we would consider to be acceptable behaviour. And I really want to appeal to the community in this regard, similarly to what I said before around a person, child, senior, could be shot innocently and killed. There are men not far away from here that are extremely dangerous to the fabric of our community. Not least when we have such significant challenges in organising Bermuda to address the current threat of coronavirus. And whilst that's a separate issue, I do think some people do not think, care, but I hope they worry, because we will bring them into custody. I spoke to the mother of Mr. Fox earlier, and it was a difficult conversation. How does a mother explain the loss of her son? And indeed, it's not the first tragedy that family has faced. And I promised her that we will do everything to to bring those responsible to justice. But that's not enough. She's lost her son. And this is what I want people to think about. And I don't want people to be desensitised to it's just another shooting. This is a terrible, terrible incident for Bermuda. And we need the public support. Not just now in giving us information as to what took place, but actually speaking to the people that carry on this kind of behaviour and actually informing them, telling them, directing them, influencing them that they must stop, because there are people in the community that do have influence and I want their influence to be used. I'm happy to take any questions. Obviously, it's quite a dynamic investigation, but please raise anything you wish me to address.
Please, Commissioner, thank you for your comments. There's been a video circulating of an individual singing braggings in a sing-song way, you know, I shot him in his back. Is that one of the individuals who have been taken into custody or who have been arrested?
Yeah, there's a number of social media videos. It's not appropriate for me to comment on that one, which go from everything to capturing the incident in question, which I think leaves the offenders extremely vulnerable to identification, and we're already looking at a number of people. There's also videos that we know have come directly from the hospital, which we've seen, and there'll be lots of things circulating. What I ask is, if, given the nature of what's taken place, i.e. the loss of a young man, it's extremely tempting to share those videos. But I ask people to think of the family tragedy around it, and perhaps the better thing to do would be to either delete it or copy it to somebody in the police so we're aware of it and we can investigate it.
Is the police considering this a gang-related incident? You said that there were 2 firearms.
Yeah, it's easy to make a guess, but I genuinely do believe this is a dispute between gang members, and that's part of our inquiries. Certainly in regards to the persons targeted and who we believe will be offenders, just fit that criteria.
And is there a link between those previous gun incidents earlier on in the year to this current incident?
Well, you can sit there and make links to everything, particularly if it takes place in the same community, and there's always connectivity, and people do fall out. And one of the things that we do, particularly with government and their gang team along the past is understand when these tensions arise and get in there quickly and try and subdue them and move on. And 99% of the time we're able to do that, and we prevent such incidents. But the thing that shocks me about this is that the fact that it's taken place in broad daylight, in public, indiscriminate firing. We know that some of the cartridges that we've recovered indicate potentially hitting cars. This is not the Wild West, and it's not a Hollywood movie. This is life. This is people's homes and people's community, and it's absolutely despicable what was done yesterday.
Just one last question. Is there a heightened police presence in the area for fears of retaliatory behaviour?
Well, there's been a heightened police presence throughout, and one of the things I want to get across is that our efforts around North Hamilton, Court Street, Happy Valley was there to reassure the public, and by reassuring the public with high visibility, that obviously suppresses a lot of the other issues, and we haven't stopped that. And Assistant Commissioner Weeks, who covers our operational side of the business, has put dedicated foot patrols in there. And the fact that, and it is striking that we have a police officer some 10 feet away from the incident, and yet they still carry on. A lot of our considerations now are, what do we additionally do to try and address these issues? And that will mean that there'll be a strong focus on all people that we believe are involved in this kind of behaviour. And one of the things is that, yes, we will work with the community and we'll try and find solutions, but we're the police service and we enforce law. And we will go in hard and we will go after strong some of these individuals, and we will start bringing them into custody, because we are not having the streets informed by this kind of behaviour. So will there be a step up of police activity? There already is and has been for weeks. Is there going to be some more, perhaps more robust police activity? Yes, definitely.
So maybe, I guess following in that vein, would you perhaps be able to elaborate? We've seen something quite new, as you said, in this recent spate. What are these disputes that we're seeing? Can you tell us a bit more about them?
Yeah, I think, Jonathan, obviously the investigation is live. We'll come up with a hypothesis in regards to what's taken place, whether it was dispute against individuals or groups of people, and that will obviously give us indication of what motive is and so forth. So it's probably too soon to judge. But one of the things that we find quite often is that some of these disputes can last for a very long period of time. Some of them can escalate very quickly. So we just need to be mindful. And the way in which we've got to do that is engage in the community, the information that they can provide. And we're doing a lot of work now with the families directly linked to some of our gang members to actually understand what they can do to advise us and what we can do to support them. And that's why it's most disappointing, because the tragedy is a loss of life, but the feedback we were getting, certainly from Court Street and around, was actually a feel-good feeling. They liked and wanted the police there. It raised community spirit. They felt supported. And we've got to try and protect that, and there may be some need to repair it a little over the next few days, but that's the way in which we'll work.
Thanks, sir.
Just one last question. What is the police's plan with regards to COVID-19 and precautions in that situation?
Well, all advice in regards to plans around COVID-19 are joined together within the Emergency Measures Organisation, and they will speak on that in that regard. But what I will say is that yesterday was an extremely valuable day with senior leaders in the BPS talking about our plans, how we're going to support and look after our resources so we maintain the capability to do our job. It's led by ACOP Weeks as the goal commander, and it's an extremely comprehensive approach. And we engaged also with our colleagues in customs, corrections, fire, and the Royal Bermuda Regiment. So we compared our different plans and looked at how we can work collaboratively and support them so we're all on the same page. So whilst plans are great, but they get tested, I'm confident that we've got our focus right. And our focus is around making sure, obviously, there's the protection of life, but it's looking after people, being there to cater for service needs. But we might have to do it differently, and the release we did the other day described that, where perhaps we might want to focus on emergency situations, or a crime in action, or somebody's life is at risk. But if it isn't an emergency situation, we're not saying that we won't deal with it, but we may deal with it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. So with an increased police presence, are you informing those officers to keep a certain distance from people?
Yeah, I mean, social distancing, we've got personal protection equipment if we had to engage with somebody that perhaps was suffering symptoms, and we follow government advice and also the Minister of Health's advice. So it is extremely joined up, but because it's a very, again, dynamic situation, things change each day, and it's important that we change accordingly to the new risks that may present.
Can you just confirm there were police officers in the vicinity of that shooting incident yesterday?
Yes, yeah, and we had. And I spoke to the female officer yesterday, and probably the only positive thing that I can say about this, and she was in the immediate vicinity, and I asked her, did she want to come back to the station, and how was she? And her answer was, no, I'm here for my community. I'm not going to let these people scare me, and I'll carry on my beat to reassure people. And I think that's an important issue. If the BPS are seen as either afraid or back down on these things, and whilst that individual officer's attitude and behaviour was terrific, and we will support them because it's quite a traumatic incident, it is indicative of our mindset that we will deal with these issues, whether it be robustly or through communities, and we've obviously got a rapid-paced investigation taking place at the moment.
There was only one officer?
There was a number of officers. There was also a firearms team that were nearby in the vicinity, but we've had anything from up to 4 or 5 officers. But a beat officer walking up and down Court Street is visible, can engage. And of course, the point that I raised earlier, this is a completely different situation. Shootings that we've had in the past have taken place in less public spaces at night. This is broad daylight, and certainly the policing response yesterday was appropriate because it wouldn't have foreseen what would take place.
We understand there weren't officers in that area previous to yesterday. Is that true?
I'm not going to comment on that, but we've had a commitment of resources through there, and whether it be based on intelligence need or other risk, and certainly I'll be very defensive, but I'll be quite clear. BPS are responding and they're dealing with issues, and the actions of those 2 individuals yesterday were the actions of those 2 individuals, and we've now got to catch them, bring them into custody and get them to pay the penalty. But it is not the fault of the BPS.
Thank you, sir.
Gentlemen, ladies, thank you very much.